Timeless Wealth Building Strategies of Elite Families. Introduction. Wealthy families throughout history have relied on a core set of strategies to amass and preserve fortune across generations. Many of these methods, such as acquiring land, forging strategic marriages, careful inheritance planning, investing in education, patronizing culture, innovating financial tools, building trade networks, and wielding political influence, appear repeatedly from ancient civilizations to the modern era. In this report, we examine 15 wealth-building strategies employed by elite families across civilizations, from ancient Rome, China, and Mesopotamia to Renaissance Europe, and illustrate each with both historical examples and modern parallels. The goal is to show how the fundamental mechanisms of building and safeguarding wealth have remained consistent, even as the tools and context evolved. First, land ownership and estates. Historical context. Owning vast landholdings has been a cornerstone of elite wealth since antiquity. In ancient Rome, senatorial aristocrats controlled huge agricultural estates, latifundia producing crops like grain, olive oil, and wine. These estates not only generated income but also conferred political clout, as land ownership was tied to social rank. Similar patterns appeared in ancient China, where the gentry class acquired farmland and exacted rents from peasants, and in medieval Europe, where feudal lords and monasteries ruled over expansive manors. Modern parallel. Land is still a timeless pillar of wealth. Today's billionaires and dynasties invest heavily in real estate, from farmland and ranches to urban property empires. Bill Gates, for example, has become the largest private farmland owner in the United States, while Ted Turner owns millions of acres of ranch land. Old aristocratic families in Europe and plantation dynasties elsewhere still derive income from inherited estates, and modern tycoons diversify into land as both a hedge and a power asset. Second, strategic marriage alliances. Historical context. Marriage has long been an economic and political tool. The Habsburg dynasty famously expanded its empire through marriage rather than war, uniting territories across Europe. Roman elites cemented alliances through arranged marriages, while in China, powerful clans married into fellow scholar official families to consolidate wealth and influence. Banking dynasties like the Rothschilds even arranged cousin marriages to ensure fortune stayed within the family. Modern parallel. The wealthy still tend to marry within their class. Studies show assortative mating, marrying those of similar social and economic status, is common among billionaires, effectively concentrating wealth. Modern unions such as Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner merging two real estate dynasties mirror the old strategy. In elite circles, marriages often align assets, networks, and even corporate empires, just as they once merged duchies or fiefdoms. 3. Inheritance and succession planning. Historical context. Rules of inheritance have always been key to preserving family fortunes. Medieval Europe relied on primogeniture, passing estates intact to the eldest son, to prevent land fragmentation. In Rome, elites often adopted heirs or arranged marriages to keep estates in the family. In China, clans maintained lineage trusts and enforced customs to keep property consolidated. Modern parallel. Estate planning today uses legal vehicles like trusts, foundations, and holding companies to minimize tax losses and avoid family disputes. The Walton family, heirs to Walmart, structured ownership through a family partnership that allowed wealth to pass intact with minimal tax erosion. Many dynasties employ family offices and constitutions to manage succession smoothly, echoing the same principle as ancient inheritance systems. Keep the fortune unified and secure. Fourth, education and grooming of heirs. Historical context. Elite families have long invested heavily in education to maintain wealth and status. In imperial China, success in civil service exams transformed families into entrenched scholar gentry elites. In Rome, aristocratic families hired top tutors to train heirs in law, rhetoric, and governance. Renaissance dynasties like the Medicis ensured their children studied languages, classics, and arts to prepare them for leadership in both finance and politics. Modern parallel. Today's wealthy follow the same path through elite private schools, Ivy League or Oxbridge degrees, and curated experiences. Beyond formal education, heirs often gain internships at family-connected firms and hands-on grooming in family enterprises. These educational investments are about more than skills. They secure prestige, networks, and legitimacy. Just as a Jinshi degree in Qing China elevated a clan status, a Harvard MBA plays a similar role in today's dynasties. Fifth, patronage of arts, culture, and institutions. Historical context. Patronage has always served as both cultural contribution and reputation management. The Medici family's sponsorship of Renaissance art and architecture immortalized their name and cemented their dominance in Florence. In Rome, aristocrats acted as patrons to clients, financing games or public works to gain loyalty and prestige. Across civilizations, from Mesopotamian kings to Egyptian pharaohs, elites invested in temples, monuments, and cultural institutions to display power and secure legacy. Modern parallel. Today, patronage survives in the form of philanthropy and sponsorship. Billionaires establish foundations, endow museum wings, fund universities, and sponsor global causes. The Gates Foundation, Rockefeller Philanthropy, and Carnegie's libraries are classic examples of converting wealth into influence and enduring prestige. Naming rights, board seats, and cultural visibility serve the same function as temples or cathedrals once did. They transform money into social capital and soft power. Sixth, Mastery of financial instruments and credit. Historical context. From Babylonian proto-banks to Renaissance financiers, families who mastered credit and financial tools often outpaced landowners in wealth. The House of Agibi in Mesopotamia managed deposits, loans, and trade financing in the 6th century BCE. Later, the Medici Bank revolutionized commerce with letters of credit and bills of exchange, while the Fugger family of Germany financed kings, popes, and mining monopolies, effectively becoming Europe's bankers. Modern parallel. Today, fortunes are multiplied through sophisticated finance, hedge funds, venture capital, and private equity. Banking dynasties like the Rothschilds transitioned from coin trading to international bonds and now into global asset management. Tech billionaires run family offices that act like investment banks, deploying capital into startups, stocks, and derivatives. The principle hasn't changed. Financial innovation magnifies wealth faster than agriculture or trade alone. 7. Trade networks and commercial expansion. Historical context. Families who controlled trade routes or supply chains consistently amassed great fortunes. The Sogdian merchants of Central Asia dominated Silk Road commerce, while Venetian and Genoese families ruled Mediterranean shipping. Merchant banking houses like the Welsers combined trading monopolies with colonial charters, turning commerce into empire. Modern parallel. Today's equivalents are family-owned corporations that dominate global supply chains. The Cargill-Macmillan family, owners of Cargill Inc., oversee one of the largest agribusiness empires in the world, handling commodities across 70 countries. Similarly, families behind Samsung, IKEA, or Maersk leverage international trade to build dynasties, controlling the flow of vital goods. Grain, oil, electronics, or even information remains as profitable today as spices and silk once were. 8. Political power and influence. Historical context. Wealth and politics have always been intertwined. In Rome, senators used office to enrich themselves through provincial governorships and military spoils. The Medicis transitioned from bankers to rulers, securing papal and royal titles that amplified their wealth. Across Europe and Asia, aristocratic families cemented fortunes by shaping tax laws, securing monopolies, or capturing government positions. Modern parallel. Today's elites exert political influence through lobbying, campaign financing, and strategic philanthropy. Families like the Kochs in the U.S. or political dynasties in Asia, e.g. the Nehru-Gandhi family, show how wealth buys policy influence and political clout protects wealth in return. Billionaires fund think tanks, advocacy groups, and media outlets, ensuring their interests are safeguarded just as ancient senators once did. 9. Military exploits and war profiteering. Historical context. For centuries, war was both a source of plunder and a business. Roman generals like Julius Caesar enriched themselves from looted gold and slaves, while condottieri families such as the Sforzas in Renaissance Italy parlayed mercenary success into duchies. The Fuggers financed wars for the Habsburgs and received resource monopolies in return. Modern parallel. The defense industry and private contractors carry on this legacy. Families tied to companies like Dassault Aviation in France or conglomerates supplying militaries worldwide profit from ongoing government contracts. In recent conflicts, corporations linked to elite circles have made billions from reconstruction projects and defense logistics. Whether through leading armies or supplying them, proximity to war has long been a pathway to fortune. 10th, tax exploitation in government contracts. Historical context. Elites often enrich themselves by controlling state revenue. Roman publicani bid for tax farming rights, collecting more than they paid the state. French tax farmers general and Ottoman iltizam holders became wealthy intermediaries between rulers and subjects. Monarchs also granted monopolies and contracts, like the East India Company, to favored families, effectively privatizing state power. Modern parallel. Today, the wealthy exploit tax codes and secure government contracts through legal structures and political ties. Billionaire families use offshore trusts and loopholes to minimize taxes, preserving wealth across generations. Meanwhile, construction, defense, and infrastructure giants thrive on public contracts, often won through insider networks. In some nations, privatization deals and no-bid contracts echo the privileges once handed to tax farmers and royal monopolists. 11th, monopolies and market control. Historical context. When families controlled an entire market, fortunes multiplied. Venetian merchants monopolized spice trade routes, while the Fuggers cornered Europe's copper supply. Standard Oil in the 19th century replicated this on an industrial scale, controlling over 90% of U.S. oil refining before being broken up. Modern parallel. Antitrust laws exist, but monopoly-like dominance remains common. Tech giants such as Google, Amazon, and Meta control huge portions of their sectors, generating vast wealth for their founders. Families behind conglomerates like Samsung or Mexico's Slim family in telecom similarly built fortunes through dominant market positions. Monopoly power, whether enforced by the state or by network effects, remains one of the surest wealth multipliers. 12th, nepotism and family networks. Historical context. Kinship was the backbone of wealth preservation. Renaissance popes famously promoted nephews, origin of the term nepotism, to cardinal positions. The Medicis married strategically while staffing offices with relatives. Across empires, family members were placed in key posts, ensuring wealth and influence stayed in the bloodline. Modern parallel. Today's wealthy families still groom heirs for leadership in business, politics, and culture, The Walton heirs manage Walmart's empire. Rupert Murdoch's children occupy top roles in media, and the Ambani split and run Reliance Industries in India. Elite networks extend beyond blood to social capital. Elite schools, clubs, and marriage ties reinforce exclusivity. While the language has changed, the practice of keeping it in the family remains central to dynastic survival. 13. Religious and charitable influence. Historical context aligning with religion legitimized wealth and power. Medieval nobles placed sons as bishops or abbots, controlling church lands. Families like the Borgias used the papacy to enrich their lineage. Across cultures, endowments to temples, monasteries, or mosques reinforced prestige and safeguarded fortunes under a cloak of piety. Modern parallel. Philanthropy plays a similar role today. Billionaires create foundations that fund universities, museums, and global health initiatives, ensuring their names are linked to virtue. The Gates Foundation, Carnegie Libraries, and Rockefeller endowments exemplify how giving enhances legacy while sometimes preserving wealth through tax advantages. Aligning wealth with morality or public good continues to protect elites from backlash and solidify their influence. 14. Diversification and risk management. Historical context. Families that spread wealth across industries and regions endured crises better than those dependent on a single asset. The Rothschilds invested in banking, railroads, and vineyards. Hanseatic merchants mixed shipping, brewing, and finance. Diversification cushioned families against wars, famines, or market crashes. Modern parallel. Today, family offices and investment funds operate with the same principle. Billionaires diversify into real estate, tech, art, and renewable energy. Jeff Bezos moved from e-commerce into media and space. The Tata family in India runs a conglomerate spanning steel, IT, and consumer goods. Modern diversification also includes geography, holding assets across continents to hedge political or economic risks. 15. Reputation and legacy management. Historical context. Wealthy families invested in legacy building. Romans sponsored games, baths, and monuments. Renaissance elites hired artists to immortalize them in paintings and architecture. Chroniclers, inscriptions, and genealogies ensured their names outlasted their power. Modern parallel. Today's elites curate their reputations through philanthropy, branding, and media. Naming rights on hospitals, museums, and universities cement legacies. The Giving Pledge frames billionaires as benevolent rather than exploitative. Meanwhile, PR firms and social media allow wealthy figures to control narratives in real time. Reputation remains a form of wealth insurance, protecting dynasties from public resentment and political risk. Summary table. Timeless wealth strategies. Strategy, historical example, modern example, land ownership. Roman latifundia, Chinese gentry estates. Bill Gates farmland empire, Grosvenor estates, marriage alliances, Habsburg dynastic unions, Trump-Kushner union, billionaire homogamy, inheritance planning, medieval primogeniture, Walton family trusts and grats, education and grooming, imperial Chinese civil exams, Ivy League Oxbridge pipelines for heirs, patronage and prestige, Medici sponsorship of art, Gates Foundation, Carnegie Libraries, financial mastery, Fugger copper monopoly, Medici banking, Rothschild investment banking, hedge funds, trade networks, Sogdian Silk Road merchants, Cargill global agribusiness empire, political influence, Roman Senate dominance, Koch family political network, military profiteering, Caesar's spoils, Sforza Condottieri, Halliburton contracts, Dassault aviation, tax and contracts, Roman publicani, French tax farmers, Slim family telecom licenses, defense contracts, market monopolies, Venetian spice control, Standard Oil, Google search dominance, De Beers diamonds, nepotism and family, papal nepotism, Medici alliances, and Walton heirs, Ambani siblings, religious, charitable, Borgias, controlling papacy, Gates and Rockefeller foundations, diversification at Rothschilds in rail, mining, wine, Bezos in space/media, Tata conglomerate, reputation and legacy, Roman monuments, Renaissance art, university endowments, Giving Pledge. Conclusion. From Roman senators to Silicon Valley billionaires, the wealthy have always played by a remarkably consistent set of rules. Land, marriage, inheritance, education, finance, trade, politics, war, monopolies, and reputation, these are the timeless levers of dynastic power. While the tools evolve, trust funds instead of primogeniture, lobbying firms instead of senates, AI-driven markets instead of caravans, the underlying strategies remain the same. Wealth isn't just about money, it's about converting resources into durable power and legitimacy. Studying these patterns makes one thing clear: fortune favors not only the bold, but the prepared. Families who plan for generations, diversify, and cultivate legitimacy endure. Those who fail often vanish within a century. The toolkit of elite wealth is timeless. What changes is only the packaging.